Since the release of 2008's Iron Man, multiple writers, tech experts, and financial wizards have worked hard to find out just how much money Tony Stark spent being Iron Man. Some of these numbers are surprisingly low, and some of them are straight up astronomical. But one thing's for certain, being the Iron Avenger ain't cheap. In 2010, the same year Iron Man 2 was released, IO9's Annalie Newitz crunched the numbers and learned that the total for all parts comprising Iron Man's suit came to around $100 million. Newitz pointed out that this was around $12 million less than the cost of an F-35 fighter plane. You probably wouldn't find them in a big box store, but hypothetically, it wouldn't be out of the reach of the US military. This story is a decade old, so why aren't there already fleets of Iron Man suits? Well, probably because of a couple of the story's missing pieces. First, Newitz comes to the figure with only 5 components of the hypothetical suit: a helmet-mounted display, an exoskeleton, a portable nuclear power source, a jetpack, and wearable computers. No weapons are mentioned, which are crucial to being Iron Man. There are many other missing suit capabilities, like Tony's waste filtration system.
You know, the question I get asked most often is, Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in the suit? Just like that.
Second, even if it were a complete list, the story is missing a critical component: the research and development necessary to make all these different pieces of tech work together in one suit. That kind of brainpower comes with a hefty and unknowable price tag. A couple of months after the 2012 release of Avengers, MoneySupermarket.com gave the cost of being Iron Man a much steeper sum than IO9's quote. The site estimated the cost of living as both Tony Stark and Iron Man would be well over 15 times greater, putting it at $1.6 billion. Unlike the 2010 story, MoneySupermarket.com's data took into account things like the anti-personnel guns on the suit's shoulders, $400,000 each, the rockets in the wrists, which would clock in at $1.5 million, and the development of the artificial intelligence program known as Jarvis at around $10 million. Money Supermarket gauged the total cost for all of Tony Stark's suits combined by the end of the Avengers at $1.5 billion. The site also went beyond the suits and looked at Tony's lifestyle. They put his mansion at $25 million and his fancy car collection at $3.4 million. So while most of that $1.6 billion goes towards the suits, it's good to know he gives himself a modest amount of cash to just have a little fun. A little less than a year after MoneySupermarket.com released its data, putting the cost of being Iron Man at $1.6 billion, the same site released a new estimate of $10 billion. By 2013, Stark's collection of suits increases from 7 to 42, adding $7 billion to this estimate, and honestly, that's probably a little low. Their data only counts 7 of Tony's 35 new suits. Iron Man 3's Final Battle and Tony's House Party Protocol clearly shows way more than 7 new suits. So if 7 suits cost $7 billion, you can likely add around $30 billion to the total. And whatever that total is, well, that's what Tony throws away on a romantic gesture to Pepper by ordering the surviving suits to self-destruct, only to have new suits ready to go by Avengers Age of Ultron. There's one big-ticket item that just about everyone forgets in their assessment of Tony's spending: Veronica, aka the Hulkbuster suit.
The whole team is down. You got no backup here.
I'm calling in Veronica.
In particular, there's the method of the Hulkbuster suit's delivery. When Tony activates Veronica in 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron, we learn he isn't keeping the armor in Stark Tower or a compound in upstate New York. The Hulkbuster armor waits in orbit to be deployed by a satellite. That means that along with developing and building the suit, Veronica needed to be attached to a satellite which needed to be launched into orbit. So while we can't tell you how much it would cost Tony to build the Hulkbuster armor, we do know launching a satellite would cost him between $50 million and $400 million all on his own. While we don't work for NASA, we're going to guess that considering that satellites need the added capability of launching Veronica back to Earth at a moment's notice, Veronica's cost would be closer to the high end of that estimate. In 2017, the same year Tony acted as Peter Parker's father figure in Spider-Man Homecoming, the billionaire got some good news from a new estimate of his spending needs. According to a video made by Coinage, Timing's personal finance video company, being Iron Man would cost $8.4 billion, a $1.6 billion drop from MoneySupermarket.com's 2013 estimate of $10 billion. Coinage's explanation isn't nearly as comprehensive as far breaking down exactly how they arrived at that number. So it's curious how that $1.6 billion went missing. We'll leave someone with Tony Stark level intelligence to suss that one out, but the most likely reason for this discrepancy? Someone hasn't been keeping up with the MCU movies. Shame. Shame.
It's embarrassing.
As comprehensive as any of the analyses of Tony Stark's costs may be, there's a lot missing. No one knows, for example, the cost of the Spider-Man suits Tony makes, the Hulkbuster suit, most of the 42 suits made by Iron Man 3, or the automated arms used to peel the armor off. We don't know what Age of Ultron's Iron Legion cost, the new nanofiber suit Tony debuts in Infinity War, or the time machine in Endgame. Then there are personnel costs. Tony has to pay for all the food and other amenities provided for the Avengers at their compound. Not to mention that he presumably pays some salaries. He's got Quinjets and helicopters, he's got multiple satellites, he buys a giant stuffed bunny for Pepper in Iron Man 3, and also he has to pay for that dude's phone he smashes after he threatens the Mandarin.
That's what you wanted, right? Film me.
Then there's maintenance. You think Tony can build one of these insanely advanced Iron Man suits and not bother with tune-ups? Every high-tech thing Tony invents is an ongoing investment, so it's arguably fortunate they usually get destroyed after only a couple of uses. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more Looper videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the bell so you don't miss a single one.